Thank you for joining me for Innate Astrology. So we'll be taking a look at what the energy of Mars in Cancer entails. Now keep in mind that Mars also ruled originally the other water sign of Scorpio. So it's not an entirely uncomfortable place to be in a water sign, but to explain how this energy of Mars and Cancer meld together, I want to start with the first house of the natural zodiac, Aries, which Mars also rules, and tell the story of Aries moving through the house of Cancer on his journey. So in Aries, Mars goes out on his adventures. He is fiery and filled with passion and inspiration. He goes off to war, and he moves through Taurus, where he fights the battle for self-worth and sustenance, for land, something to call his own. And he moves into Gemini, and he battles the war of the mind and the war of words. Then he comes home to Cancer to rest for a while. Now in Cancer, he's in his fall because he knows that when he is home, there'll be no tolerance for his hot-headedness. There'll be no war to fight. It's time to succumb to the nurturing, to be vulnerable, to relax, and to receive. So Cancer calms the aggression of Mars, but Mars in turn impassions Cancer's sentimentality and nostalgia and the love of nurturing, the love of home and what is family. So there's a mutual effect, a calming of Mars, so that he may be nurtured and renewed before he goes off to Leo to begin to create his dominion with all that he has conquered, his spoils of war thus far. Then he moves into Virgo, where he assimilates what he has gathered and conquered and created. And in Libra, he looks at the balance of what he has done in regards to what he has gained from his actions. It's where he begins to consider the consequences of his choices. And from there, as an older, wiser person, he moves into Scorpio and begins to dig deep into what he feels about his journey thus far and how it has affected others. The 8th house is the house of what we receive from others. So what has he received from others and what has he taken? What is the tax that must be paid for his choices thus far in life? And you come to the metaphorical death of the 8th house, where the emotions are very powerful and you gain a deeper understanding, but you rise as the phoenix to have a new viewpoint, a new appreciation, to see the reality of things, to transform the pain of reality into wisdom. And after that, he moves into Sagittarius, where he becomes the wise sage and teaches other people what he has learned through his experiences. So that's the warrior coming home to rest in regards to Mars and Cancer. It's where we take time to appreciate what home is. It can make us feel like we want to fight for our home and our private peace. we can find ourselves very inspired and impassioned to create a home that gives us a feeling of peace, that makes us feel nurtured and safe, where we recover from that metaphorical battle that we fight each day when we go out into the world. It's a place where we can let down our armor, where we should not have to fight any more wars. Mars, coming home to Cancer, wants to be done with the war. He wants no more battles. He simply wants to build peaceful, comfortable home life. It can give us a very intense desire to understand our ancestry. That is the protecting of the elders. That is wanting to know more about our foundation, our roots, who our people are. It could have us taking a passionate adventure into how our ancestry sculpts our definition of what home is, how our genetics affect what we look for when we look for safety and peace and refuge. It is an energy that will have us wanting to find home, to create what feels like home. And again, it will have us very protective of what that is for each of us. There is possibility that depending on how your natal chart is arranged, that you need to be cautious of emotional arguments, of allowing an impassioned sensitivity turn into an argument that is based in emotions that maybe are raw and intense at the moment. That's one of the negatives of it. Overall, it can be a beautiful energy of appreciating the sanctity of home, of peace, of nurturing, of feeling safe and being able to relax in an environment that is private and allows you to be authentic and to drop your tools of war and to take off the battle gear and breathe for a while. So I think for most people, this will bring a desire to create a home that gives them that feeling. It will bring them, through nostalgia and sentimentality, a new appreciation possibly for their ancestors and those who came before. It could have you becoming quite the warrior and going out to find what is your perfect home environment. And as I mentioned, it could create emotional battles within the home. That's something that each of us need to recognize for what it is and try to move away from and focus more on the enjoyment of being passionate and appreciative of the environment that allows us to feel safe and nourished. So it's an energy, as I mentioned, that is not totally unfamiliar to Mars, but it is the energy of allowing ourselves to drop our guard as warriors and be nourished, be nurtured, to feel safe enough to step away from the warrior energy for a little while. Now, let me check my notes. This is going to be from, I want to make sure I get the dates right. This is going to be until May 20th, March 25th through May 20th. So we have a couple of months to enjoy an energy of letting our guard down and seeing the value of feeling at home and protecting that feeling, protecting that private space. It can give Cancer a more outward expression of what they're passionate about. Kind of coming out of their shell, if you will. Sorry for that pun, that was terrible. But for Cancer people, this can give them a time where they feel more courageous to express what they are passionate about. But again, that comes with what I mentioned before of be cautious of emotional arguments and being overly sensitive due to the intensity of Mars. And it can inflame emotions, definitely. So do watch out for that. Try to process the emotions instead of having emotional arguments if you feel that is part of the energy for you. It could have us, that could have us feeling very protective of our loved ones as well. It could have us appreciating them more. Cancer represents the mother, so it could have an intensifying effect on the mothering nature in some people. Make sure that doesn't go so far that it goes from mother to smother. If you're living in a foreign land, it could have you feeling nostalgic for your homeland. I think it will be an opportunity for each of us to, as I mentioned, drop our guard, appreciate what home is, allow ourselves to be cared for, nurtured, nourished, to feel impassioned about our home, to create a home that gives us a wonderful, safe feeling. And again, find a new appreciation for our ancestry and the elders that are still with us and the ones who have gone before. So hopefully the energy will have a positive effect on your home life. As with all energies in astrology, it is something that we choose, how we use them. We choose that. And understanding what they are comprised of helps us to choose how we want them to affect our lives. So I hope that the information helps you with this transit to make the most of it, to enjoy it, to possibly create that home that you have longed for. Please join me again. There will be more videos soon about the new moon in Aries, our second new moon with the solar eclipse. That will be conjunct the North Node and square Pluto. There will be a video soon that is about the Libra full moon. And of course, there are so many energies coming together right now in the stars that there is much to talk about. I hope you'll join me for more videos, and I again hope that the information helps you use all the energies for your greatest success.